There are a lot of products and a lot of companies that especially in medical devices and things that are very technically complex and with a complex assembly process, um, they mandate doing a PFMEA because it's going to um, eliminate the first batch of errors on product ship. Basically, it's certainly going to catch the easy ones. It starts earlier than you would think when you're analyzing the process. Um, Most manufacturing companies, including ours, we have a procurement process where engineers specify the parts that go into the product, and our purchasing group will then go out, find suppliers for those products, qualify those suppliers, bring the product in. There's a million things that can go wrong. They could ship the wrong part. They could ship a part marked A, but it's really B. There's a lot of things that can go wrong, and that's why you need to be looking carefully at your supply base, their ability to deliver what they say they're going to deliver, and you have to have a pretty tight procurement process so that when you say, okay, the first thing is the procurement process, what can go wrong? All of the off-the-shelf parts that you're just ordering part numbers, you can say, well, our normal process is going to handle that. And although it's very risky, startup companies, a lot of them, they'll just buy stuff off of Amazon and it'll come in, and it's perfectly good to do that and build some prototypes and get them working. But what you have to understand is you never really have a lot of control over the parts that are coming in. So your procurement process isn't very tight. You're going to get whatever, those guys send you. And there's a lot of back and forth. If you're getting a machine part, oh, wow, that's great, but it's not quite right. Could you add this and that, or, change this finish or add a chamfer here? But the procurement process, if it's tightened up, you've got documents going back and forth so that everything is completely defined, and you're going to reliable suppliers. And when the parts come in, they can go through your receiving and inspection process, and you've got the documents available. And many, many, many of the defects that would have ended up in the product are going to be caught by using competent suppliers and then having a receiving and an incoming inspection process that is complementary and checks to make sure, especially when you're setting up a new supplier, that everything's running smoothly. And now you know that the parts that you're putting into the process on the front end, into your manufacturing process, are good. I think a lot of people just say, oh, well, of course we buy the parts, they appear, and now we start assembling them. But there's a whole quality of those components aspect to a PFMEA, and it usually manifests itself by identifying the particularly difficult parts to make, those custom pieces of aluminum jewelry that have to have very tight tolerances, and the finish specifications are very specific. And you would ask a question like, oh, let's just take the finish on a part. Black anodization everyone says, oh, we'll just get the parts black anodized. Well, black isn't black, isn't black, isn't black. So, and when you put all these different parts together, if you happen to have run them from different batches of anodizing, or there's a different surface finish on the part, they'll look different. And now that isn't going to hurt anybody, but your customer might not accept the product. So it's not a very dangerous thing that's been done, but it's still unacceptable. You've got to reject the product. You want to think, well, how are we going to control the surface finish and the anodizing of these 5 parts? That's the kind of thing that can pop up in a PFMEA, so that you can get control of the parts, so that when they all go together, they look like they're one piece, all with the same finish. So that's a good example of something that it's hard to solve on the design side, because it's really a process problem. The design side, each part stands alone. One machine shop does this part, a different machine shop does that part. Then they go get them black anodized. But when they come together, now all of a sudden, those subtle differences in the surface finish and the fact that one went to shop A for black anodizing and one went to shop B, one had a fresh anodizing bath, the other one, it was a Friday afternoon bath, and it was a little weak. So one looks a little bit more gray than the other. It's a that's the kind of thing that how critical is that? If your customer really doesn't care, hey, black, it's black's close enough, go. And by the way, they may say that, but they don't mean that. When they get a part in that's black anodized and there are different shades of black, all of a sudden it's going to be, wait a minute, that isn't black anodizing. You can say, well, yeah, it is, and good luck with that argument. So that's the kind of thing that you want to pay attention to, and that's the kind of thing that would show up in a process FMEA. And we speak from experience.